Hello everyone, my name is Su. I will present the book of Mice and Men written by John Steinbeck. This book was written in 1937 in the Great Depression. I would read the page 101 of the book. It was very quiet in the barn, and the quiet of the afternoon was on the ranch. Even the clang of the pitch shoes, even the voice of the man in the game seemed to grow more quiet. The air in the barn was dusky in advance of the outside day. A pigeon flew in through the open gate and circled and flew out again. Around the lasso came a shepherd, lean along with heavy hanging dog. Halfway to the packing box where the puppies were she caught at the dead scent of police one, and the hair rose along her spine. She whimpered and cringed to the packing box and jumped in among the puppies. Curly's wife lay with a half covering of yellow hay, and the meanness and the planning and the discontent and the age for attention were all gone from her face. She was very pretty and simple, and her face was sweet and young. Now her round cheek and her reddened lips made her seem alive and sleeping very lightly. The curls, tiny little sashes were spread on the case behind her and head, and her lips were parted. As happened something, a moment settled and hovered, and remained for much more than a moment. And sound stopped, and movement stopped for much more than a moment. Then gradually time awakened again, and moved sluggishly on. The horse stamped on the other side of the feeding rock, and the halter chain clinked. Outside, the man's voice became louder and clearer. From around the end of the lasso, old Kenny's voice came. "Lenny," he called. "Oh, Lenny, you are here?" I figured some more. Tell you what we can do. "Lenny!" Old Kenny appeared around the end of the lasso. "Oh, Lenny!" He called again, and then he stopped, and his body stiffened. He rubbed his smooth wrist on his white stubble whisker. "I did not know you was here," he said to Curly's wife. When she did not answer, he stepped near. "You often to sleep out there?" he said disapprovingly, and then he was beside her, and "Oh, Jesus Christ!" He looked up helplessly, and he rubbed his beard, and then he jumped up and went quickly out of the barn. But the barn was alive now. The horse stamped and snorted, and they chewed the straw of their belly, and they clashed the chain of the halter. In a moment, Candy came back, and George was with him. George said, "What was it you wanted to see me about?" Candy pointed at Curly's wife. George started. "What the matter with her?" he asked. He stepped closer, and then he echoed Candy's word. "Oh, Jesus Christ!" He was down on his knee beside her. He put his hand over her heart, and finally, when he stood out slowly and stiffly, his face was as hard and tight as wood. His eyes were hard. Candy said, "What done it?" George looked coldly at him. "And you got any idea?" he asked, and Candy was silent. "I should knew," George said hopelessly. "I guess maybe way back in my head I did it.